Om Sri Sai Ram. Hearty welcome to Sri Sathya Sai Lok Seva Gurukulam online classes in science. The topic is atomic structure. You have heard about atoms in your previous classes. And just let us recall your previous knowledge. All matter in the universe consists of atoms and molecules. What are atoms? They are the smallest particle of substances. Suppose, I think all of you tasted laddu, right? And if you break laddu, what happens? It becomes two halves. Again, break that halves again 2 times, 1/4. Like that, go on breaking. At last, what do you get? You get bundi, what you call, small pieces of laddu, right? But that piece of laddu has all the properties of full laddu. Means the color, the taste, the smell, all will be same, right? So just like that, all substances, if you go on breaking, the smallest particle is called as atoms in the case of elements like hydrogen, oxygen, chlorine, sodium, potassium, etc. In case of compound, the smallest particle is called molecule. For example, you have water, and if you break up water molecules, you get the smallest particle of water, that is called as molecule. This is already you have studied. Also in your previous lessons, you have studied about chemical reactions. There are 4 types of chemical reactions. What are chemical reactions? They are permanent change. When a new substance is formed, when you burn this magnesium, it forms magnesium oxide. New substance will be formed, no? That is called chemical reaction. There will be 4 types of reactions: chemical combination, come on, chemical decomposition, chemical displacement, and chemical double displacement. The 4 types you already studied, and also how to write the equation, how to balance them. For writing equation, you should take symbols and formulas, is it not? And also you have studied about Dalton's atomic theory. Who is Dalton? Dalton is a very famous England scientist. John Dalton is his name. Do you know one important item about him? He was headmaster of a high school at the age of 12. You may wonder, at your age, you are also around 12, no? 12, 13. So, at your age, he was a headmaster of a high school. How is it? Because his father was the correspondent of the school, he died. After his death, a committee people made Dalton as a headmaster because he was very genius, very intelligent. He used to answer very high standard questions. That's why they thought this young guy could be given the in charge. Anyway, he managed for 2 years. Then he left the job, he went as a scientist. He made friendship with Humphrey Davy and so on. So he is famous for what is called as atomic theory. And there are what is called as postulates. There are 6 postulates you have already studied in your previous classes. One of them is atoms are indivisible. He said that atom cannot be split up into smaller particles. But in the end of this period, you will come to know that atoms are divisible. And he said one more is that atoms of different elements are different. Means atoms of hydrogen is different from atoms of oxygen, is different from atoms of nitrogen, and so on. That is what is Dalton's atomic theory. I already studied the postulates, they are called postulates of Dalton's atomic theory. Already studied that. So, this postulate says they are believed as true. So, that the postulates are statements which are believed as true. So, that you already studied. So, these are the things which I already studied. Now, from today, in this class, we will come to know that atoms are divisible, and that is what is called as the important experiment we are going to study in a few minutes, done by J. J. Thomson. He is again from England, a very famous scientist who was given Nobel Prize. So, that was the postulate told by Dalton was disproved. That is what in science it is said. Whatever is proved today as true in science may not be true tomorrow. Okay. So, what Dalton said, it was disproved by him, and later on by other scientists like Rutherford, James Chadwick and so on. So, these are the things you already know, some of them. Now, for today, so this is the photo of John Dalton, very genius, and of course, he had laid a very good foundation, even though he is almost all out of 6, 5 of them have been disproved. And even though it is disproved, his contribution to chemistry is a wonderful one. So, his theory could explain the law of conservation of mass, means matter can neither be created nor be destroyed. One form, we can change energy from one form to another form, or in other words, mass of the reactants is equal to mass of the products. There is a conservation, he said. And second one is law of constant proportions. 2 or more elements or compounds combine in a fixed ratio, and there will be a constant ratio. For example, if you take hydrogen and oxygen, it forms 2 molecules of water. So, ratio of hydrogen and oxygen is 2:1, and water what formed also is 2. So, it is in constant proportion. So, 2:1, this is 2. So, this ratio will be same. That is what is called as constant proportions. And also his theory proved what is called as multiple proportion, means when 2 elements like carbon and oxygen combine, they form 2 gases, namely carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide. So, when carbon monoxide and carbon dioxide, these are the 2 gases formed by the 2 elements, namely carbon and oxygen. So, ratio of oxygen combining with carbon is fixed, or in multiples 1:2 like that. So, that also is proved. And however, certain experiments have shown, our experimenters have shown that atoms are made up of smaller particles called electrons, protons and neutrons. Very, very important. They are the new names. Please pronounce it 10 times. Electrons are negatively charged particles, protons are positively charged particles, neutrons are no charge. No charge. That is how an atom is broken up into 3 subatomic particles. They are called as subatomic particles. That means The scientist who came after Dalton proved that atoms can be divisible. Okay. So let us see one of them, namely electrons. And these electrons are the fundamental things. When you say electricity, electricity nothing but the movement of electrons. And you can see a beautiful picture here. Of course, this experiment can be done in the laboratories. You can also see in your schools. Here, this first experiment was done by William Crookes. He is again a scientist from England in 1885. He was doing or he was studying the behavior of metals heated in a vacuum using cathode ray tube. So, there is one thing called as cathode ray tubes, and now a question will arise. Actually, air as it is a bad conductor of electricity. Lot of experiments have been made to find out how does air conduct electricity, because air is the bad conductor. To make it conduct electricity, we have to reduce the pressure, number one. Number two, we have to increase the voltage. So, a high voltage source is connected to a special kind of tube called cathode ray tube. Why it is called cathode ray tube? Because you can study the particles coming from cathode. And there are two electrodes here. One is called negative, called cathode, the positive called anode. And the pressure of the gas inside is removed. How to remove the pressure? Come on. To remove the pressure, you have to use a device called as exhaust pump. You might have seen exhaust fans in your house. Especially for bathroom and toilet, they put exhaust fans. What does it do? When you switch on, all the air is sucked and sent out. So it is called exhaust fan. In kitchens also they put. So here also, by using exhaust pumps, the pressure of the gas inside the tube is reduced, and the voltage can be produced by, anybody know? There is a special device called induction coil, which can give you a very high voltage of the order of 5000 to 10,000 volts. Of course, it is DC. So, when high voltage and low pressure is applied on a gas or air, it can produce a special kind of rays called as cathode rays. Now, let us see the construction. Means what? How it is constructed. A cathode ray tube consists of two metal electrodes in a partially evacuated glass tube. Why you want glass tube? Because to study the nature of the gases, to study the nature of the electrons or the discharge that is coming out, we want glass one. So, it is evacuated means the pressure is reduced. Evacuated tube is one from which the most of the air has been removed. Means the pressure of the air is removed. Okay. The negatively charged electrode is called as cathode. I was just showing you. And positively charged electrode is called anode. These electrodes are connected to a high voltage source. Just now I was showing to you. Is it not? So, this is the thing: cathode, anode, high voltage source. This is the cathode ray tube. Very important question. They will ask for you to draw the diagram. So note it correctly. Okay. And you know the parts. This is a real tube, how it is. That is used in laboratories. Okay. Now coming to description, how the experiment is done. So this is J.J. Thomson, who has been awarded with Nobel Prize for his very, very special discovery. How many want to get Nobel Prize? You also want to get? Okay. If you want to get, you must do hard work like him. You do a lot of experiments. So what he did was, a high voltage was passed across the electrodes in the evacuated tube. The cathode ray produces a stream of particles. You may ask, what is stream? You have seen the water stream, right? When the rain comes, the water will flow in the canals and all the things you have seen. That is called stream. Similarly, if there is a hole in the tail roof building, in North Karnataka you have tail roof buildings. In Gadag, Hubli, Bijapur, Gulbarga, etc., you will have a lot of tail roof building. Is it not? And there will be holes sometimes. If there is a hole, the sun ray will fall inside the room or hall. So when it comes like that, it comes in the form of a stream. And you can see the dust particles moving all around, right? So these particles travel from cathode, means minus, to anode, that is plus. And therefore they are called as cathode rays. Later on they are called as electrons. So this was discovered in 1897 by English physicist J.J. Thomson. And he showed that the rays were made up of a stream of negatively charged particles. This experiment was done in the presence of an external electric field. And don't have impression that everything was ready on the same time. Lot of trial and error has to be done. Whatever all the devices you see today in the world is the product of lot of experiments. For example, the bulb in your house, the bulb, to get that shape and use, who discovered bulb, electric bulb? Yes, come on. Who discovered bulb? Thomas Alva Edison. He did 999 experiments, all failed. 1000th experiment was only successful. So if you see the bulb today, the credit goes to the scientist who made lot of hard work. And Thomas Alva Edison actually was the dullest boy in the class. He was sent out by the teacher. You are useless fellow, get out. Their mother gives a challenge. Okay, that's a different story. Don't worry about that. What I mean to say, whatever discoveries of today is a lot of hard work is there behind it. Even computers also, television also, all this, mobiles also, lot of hard work, lot of trial and error, what do you call. He also did lot of experiments, then only came to conclusion. So let us see what are the properties of cathode rays. Number one, cathode rays travel in straight lines. Okay, just like light rays. Light rays also, of course, there are three kinds of emissions in light. One of them is they travel in straight lines. Secondly, the particles constituting of cathode rays carry mass and possess energy. How do you know it? Suppose you keep on pedal, thin pedal, what do you call it as pirki. During jatra and all, you purchase pirki, one stick and one will be a beautiful this one. So when the wind comes, we run with that. It goes round like that. So like that, a wheel, if it is kept on the path of the race, it starts rotating, which means that it has got energy, it has got mass. Okay, so that is the second property. Thirdly, particles constituted of cathode rays have negligible mass but travel very fast. We are going to study that in future. So these are the important properties. And also you have two more. Cathode ray particles carry negative charge because they are produced from cathode and they are attracted towards the positively charged plate. An electrical field is applied. Okay. And the nature of cathode rays was independent of the nature of the gas filled in the cathode ray tube. In the tube you can fill different kinds of gases. So it is not at all changes with the gas. Any gas that is taken will give the cathode rays, as well as the nature of the metal used for making cathode anode. Usually copper they take, or any other conductors they will take. So any metal that is taken, it is not affected by that. In all the cases, the ratio of the charge and mass E by M was supposed to be the same. So this is a mass, E means charge. So charge is minus there. So that ratio will be the same, which I am going to study in next. Okay. And this is one of the experiments done to study the property of cathode rays. So this is a cathode, it moved towards anode, means that's why it is called negatively charged. And if they are kept in a magnet, this is plus and minus. So the rays move towards plus, and therefore we say they are negatively charged, because opposite charges attract each other. So these are negatively charged particles, therefore they move towards positive. And one more property, suppose you keep magnets north and south, then it move towards the north. And as I told earlier, if you keep one wheel here, it starts rotating. We show that they have got mass and energy. So like that, so this is the external source of battery, and this is how the current is passed, and this is actually the model of a cathode ray tube. Okay. So in conclusion, what you can see, so what you can decide on this experiment, the particles constituting the cathode rays were later called as electrons. All atoms of elements must contain electrons. And then a doubt may arise, is it only electrons or something else is there? That is there, that is the next topic. If there are minus, then there should be plus also. What are plus? We will see now. So these particles like electrons constituting an atom are called subatomic particles. Subatomic. Atomic you heard. So these are the conclusion we can make out from the Thomson's experiments. So then later on, some other scientists, they are challenged. If there is a minus, what about plus? So that was the challenge for them. Like scientists like Rutherford and Goldstein and his disciples. There are so many disciples for him. That is Guru Shishya Sambandha. That is also very important. Now you see Gurukula. Gurukula, Guru is important. And Guru should practice what he preaches. He should be like an acharya. And the disciples will follow whatever the Guru says, right? Similarly, here is one system. You might have heard about very famous gurus of Italy. Anybody know it? There was one famous Atmajnani, you can call Brahmavida. His name is Socrates. His disciple is Plato. His disciple is, come on, Aristotle. His disciple is Alexander. Socrates, Plato, Aristotle, Alexander. They are the four famous Guru Shishya Parampara. In India also we have got lot of Guru Shishya Parampara. Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa had a disciple called Swami Vivekananda. Is it not? So like that there are thousands of Guru Shishya Parampara in India. So here also Goldstein and his disciples performed an experiment. Of course they are doing experiment as Thomson did. So during the course of that study of electrons, they were interested or curious to know about positive charge. So what they did was, using a perforated cathode in the discharge tube filled with air at a very low pressure. When high voltage is passed across the electrodes, the discharge tube, a faint red glow was observed. So this is the anode and this is the high voltage source, and there will be what is called as positive charges coming from anode, and it was made to pass through perforated cathode. Perforated means what? Which has got small holes. So when they are made to pass through these holes, so it was observed there was a red glow on the other side. So this is cathode. And why it was done? Just to study the properties of positively charged particles. They are later on called as anode rays. And then they were called as protons. They are produced from anode, therefore they is called positive rays. Okay. And also they are called canal rays. Why they are called canal rays? They move like the water in a canal. Wherever there is a dam, like for example Bellary, Hospet, there is a dam. And what happens when the dam is put? All the water is diverted into the canals. Why they do it? Because when you go to the fields and all, they supply to several miles. The water of the canal is made to go into different fields through canals. So also here there will be what are called as canal rays or anode rays. So there is a difference here, please note. Here there is anode here and cathode here. Cathode is perforated or having holes. That is what you have, see a change. Hence they discovered a new particle called as proton. The glow was due to another kind of rays flowing in a direction opposite to that of the cathode rays. These rays were called anode rays or positive rays. So here are two gentlemen. Funny, they are introducing you to a new item called as proton. In a hotel if you go, they will introduce you for different kinds of menu. So here also a new menu they are introducing. Just like cathode rays, here got anode rays. These were positively charged and were also called canal rays because they move like canal water. They pass through the holes. How do you get holes? That holes were in the cathode and are the canals present in the perforated cathode. Here cathode is perforated, means having holes. So when water flow, when the rays pass through them, that was studied, and later on they called it as protons. So let us study the properties of anode rays. Just as you had some properties for cathode rays, anode rays also travel in straight lines. And how do you see it? It is seen by the screen. Then the particles constituting anode rays carry mass and have kinetic energy. Just as I have told you for cathode rays, you can keep one rotating fan type which will rotate. Show that they have got mass also and kinetic energy also. What is kinetic energy? Energy in motion. There are two important energies. One is called potential energy, another is kinetic energy. So it is given by the formula K is equal to half mv square, due to which any object kept in the path of this anode rays will start rotating. So that is kinetic energy. Canal rays carry positive charges. They are later on called as protons. The positive charge of the particles was whole number and multiples of the amount of charge present in the electrons. They are not fractions, they are whole numbers, and they carry positive charges. The nature and type of the particles constituting the anode rays were dependent on the gas present in the discharge tube. So different gases can be filled up in the tube. So depending on the gas, the particles show changes in the property. So the nature also little changes, but of course their positively charged, they won't change. Only there will be deviation, or what you call it as E by M ratio, may little change may be there. And it was Rutherford, called as Lord Rutherford. He actually made lot of experiments, showed that these particles were identical to the hydrogen ions. What mean hydrogen ions? Hydrogen ions means the hydrogen atom, if you remove electron, it becomes hydrogen ion. So suppose you have a hydrogen atom like this, there will be nucleus and there will be one electron going around. So there will be one proton and one electron, this will be going around. So if this electron is removed, how to remove it? During chemical reactions. So then it becomes what is called hydrogen ion. We represent it as H plus. So this is hydrogen ion. If you write H means hydrogen atom, ions means positively charged. So this is H means hydrogen atom. Okay. So when the electron is removed, they need to call it as hydrogen ion. These particles were named as protons. This is very, very important and shown to present in all the matter. So a few minutes back we studied that there were electrons. Now we say there are protons. Naturally you will be interested to see one more. Is it not? Thus we see that experiments by Thomson and Goldstein have shown that an atom contains two types of particles which are oppositely charged. Means what? Plus and minus. What do you call plus? Plus is nothing but protons. What do you call minus? Minus is nothing but electrons. Who discovered electrons? J.J. Thomson. Who discovered protons? We can say Lord Rutherford. Of course, they also contribute, but Rutherford is a very important person. So, there are two particles, and hence if they are both of these particles will be equal in number, we say an atom is electrically neutral. Means number of protons is equal to number of electrons. Okay. For example, if you take sodium, in case of sodium, there will be 11 protons and 11 electrons. So, number of protons is equal to number of electrons and protons will be same. Therefore, we say that an atom is electrically neutral. Okay. And one more thing is, this discovery of the electron proton means breaking up of atom is also done by another phenomenon called as radioactivity. Who discovered radioactivity? It was Henry Becquerel. Please note the name. So, today we studied about 5-6 names here. One of the famous name is Henry Becquerel. See how the scientists do. You and I, if you go in a market or in shop, we don't see any changes. We take everything as nature. But the scientists know. One day he was going in a road. He found that some particle is shining there. What he did was, he took a black paper. In his pocket he had black paper. So he just covered it and brought it to his laboratory. And for his surprise, there was a hole in the paper. Next day, oh, something interesting. Then again he put it in the wooden box. Next day there was another hole there also. Next day he changed the box. He put it in an iron box. There was a hole in that iron box also. And he was very interested. But he knew very well that there is some danger also. He is not touching in hands. He was using black papers. Later on he put in a lead box. For his surprise, there was no hole. Oh, something very interesting, he said. That is what is called as radioactivity. It is a spontaneous emission of rays from atoms of certain elements. What are elements? Like uranium, thorium, polonium, etc. Also, you might have heard about a very famous couple called Marie and Pierre couple. They are called Curie couple. So, they discovered what is called as radium and polonium, etc. So, it is a spontaneous emission of radiation from elements like uranium, thorium, etc., where the emission was in a split up into, atom splits up into 3 kinds of rays called as alpha rays, beta rays and gamma rays. Okay. So, after studying about the electrons and protons, you should also know about a neutral particle called as neutron. We will see that in the next class. Okay. So, you can see one figure about radioactivity. So, this is uranium. Okay. And this is a decomposition of uranium. Okay, writing down. So, this is uranium having a very high mass, but the mass of uranium, atomic number is 92. So, uranium mass number is 235 and 238. There are 2 mass numbers. So, there is a decomposition of uranium and it is spontaneous emission. And why it happens? Because there is a special property of heavy elements like uranium, thorium, etc. What happens if it is split up? If it is split up, it splits up into three particles called alpha, beta, beta, beta. Then you have gamma. So how do you differentiate or how do you get it? Suppose this uranium is kept in a lead box, it splits up into three particles. Some of them go straight, so which they go straight are called gamma rays. It got deviated. One is called alpha, which move towards minus. Beta rays which move towards positive. So you can just have the figure in another way also. This was the experiment he did by Henry Becquerel. He said that some of the rays went straight, they are called as gamma rays, and some of them got deviated, we call it as alpha rays. They are made up of positive charges, and some of them they are called beta rays, made up of negative charge. How do you know it? That is by keeping in a electric field, minus and plus. That move towards minus is called alpha rays, move towards plus is called beta rays. Some of them go straight are called gamma rays. That's what I said, na? Suppose you keep in a, that's what happened actually, when you keep in a paper box, there is a hole, that hole is due to gamma rays. Wooden box, iron box, etc. There was a hole in that because they are very, very powerful gamma rays. So this discovery of radioactivity has helped or to find out the phenomenon or decomposition of radioactive rays. Okay. Now let us come to home assignment. Name two charged particles which constitute all matter. So these are the two guys. So much heavy homework they are asking. No heavy, only 3 questions. Second question, describe a cathode ray tube. Then why do the canal rays obtained by using different gases have different E by M values? What is E? Charge. M means mass. Okay. This different will be different in the case of canal rays. Why it is so? Okay. So I think you come prepare for that. All the best. Thank you.